everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio. And no, listeners, I am your podcast host. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey. With me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. I kind of jumbled up. I couldn't figure out a good way to do the respectful quote of James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, but I did my best way to shoehorn podcast into it, much akin to maybe like a blank check, if you will. Scotty, how are you doing this fine early Sunday morning?
I'm tired. That's all I got.
What percentage of Ring Post Radio podcasts do you think start with your first words being "I'm tired" or something?
At least I'm gonna go 30%.
I'm more than half.
I think a nice 30%. Because I don't think I ever think of it. And we've had some night shows, so like those kind of even it out, but definitely a lot. But I feel like if I don't start with anything else, then it's just not the same. You have your starts, I have my starts. I think it's only fair that we continue them all after all this time.
The signature starts of me doing a shoehorned quote to start off the episode, and then giving a sleep update.
Yes, today was maybe your finest, by the way.
I tried my best.
Look at the Ring Post Radio, then you just stopped.
I wrote it down of what I want the quote to be, and then I couldn't figure out, like, as I was saying it, I was like, wait, how do I get here?
Like Darth Vader breathing sounds or something.
I could have done that. I could have Oh man.
I just did like an entire like Mufasa quote just out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine.
I could have said the quote and then done an audio clip of Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill screaming, "No, that's impossible."
Exactly. Shout out to James Earl Jones, rest in peace. One of the goats. One of the celebrity deaths that made me sad. Like, I feel like when celebrities die, sometimes we'll just like read it and I don't process it. But that one I was like, man. I mean, it sucks. It was weird because like I think last week I watched both The Lion King and The Sandlot randomly.
Oh, really?
And like when he passed, I was like, all right, that's crazy. I guess I gotta watch Star Wars now, but that's crazy. Just connect it fully. But dude rocked. And I think for
all-time
most people, they probably have a connection to him, whether it be The Lion King or The Sandlot, or of course Star Wars. There's something that you watched Field of Dreams. There's something you've watched James Earl Jones in, and I think you remember him. Just an iconic voice, like you said. Iconic guy. And rest in peace to him. But this is a wrestling show, so I guess I should get ready for that part now.
I was going to say that he was for film history lovers. He was actually the last, I believe, surviving member of the cast for Doctor Strangelove, that movie from decades ago. He played a super young James Earl Jones is in that movie.
I saw a few like young James Earl Jones like things along the week, and I'm like, oh, it's like one of those things you're like, oh right, he was young at one point. I did see something that he was the last part of like the original Darth Vader, that made him up, that passed away. I was like, oh, that's sad.
Did he? I heard somewhere that he signed like away his like
his voice can be used.
To be used for AI, I guess, for Star Wars, Disney.
I think he did that a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he had a problem with that, which is cool. It's not the same, but it's cool.
The irony of like James Earl Jones passing away and like having the discussion about like, oh yeah, he signed away his voice to be like used in Disney AI forever. Meanwhile, Disney is being sued by the state of Grand Moff Tarkin for using his picture in Rogue One, like 5 years ago. So very good, very good. Anyways, that's Disney talk. Here we are talking on Ring Post Radio. We got a lot to talk about. Well, not a whole lot to talk about, I guess. To be said, there's nothing really big.
You just lie.
Well, we have CMLL, we have Stardom and New Japan. But there's nothing to preview really.
Yeah, right.
Today. But I do want to start off here, Scotty, because big talking point came out of Wednesday, and it feels necessary for you and I to come on to Ring Post Radio this week. And we don't want to take this victory lap, Scotty, but the podcast gods demand that we sort of take a victory lap on AEW's tag division, because you watched this gauntlet match on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I ended up watching it Thursday, which was funny because I got to see the reaction beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, I don't like to take victory laps, except I absolutely love to take victory laps.
He revels in
I actually like keep a checklist of potential victory laps, and
mm-hmm.
this was one of them. Yeah, this tag division stinks. It is not good. When you are watching a gauntlet, right? And I think this is like both a bad thing and a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're watching a gauntlet, I think part of the excitement for said gauntlet is watching, oh, anyone can win. However, every time another team came out, I said, they're not winning. They're not winning. They're not winning. They're not winning. The only like FTR starts it, and you're like, well, I mean, they're a strong tag team, but they're not winning.
They're
And
not
then
going to win. It's too soon,
right.
And
then Ospreay and Fletcher come out. I was like, well, they're amongst the favorites, but we'll see what they got cooking up here.
They've been a team, I guess, in some capacity for several years now, but in terms of the kayfabe of this company, in a large extent, they kind of broke up and reformed an hour ago. So it feels like they're probably gonna win,
Sure. And from there,
I think number
there was
3,
not a single other team.
Number 3 was the Righteous, I believe, and I was like, oh no.
When I heard that Righteous music hit, I was like, oh, this was not a good idea. This was bad. If we're rolling out the Righteous, right? Because when you do the casino gauntlet with singles wrestlers, it's like top star, mid Carter, which is fine, top star, right? And this didn't have that. The only like team that came out that I was like, oh, they could win was GYV, and they just never even got in the ring.
No, they didn't even got to the ramp, I think. I think they only got to the entrance area and then got beat up and went to the back.
And it's not good. Like, this is not good. And I think the best part of it all, and when I say best part, I mean worst part of it all, is that they had all those teams in there, right? The Righteous. You can pin the Righteous. No one gives a shit about the Righteous. The Outrunners.
Don't pin the Outrunners. They got the super pop of the night.
Yeah, they did. I know you were in Kentucky or whatever, but yeah, I guess. But my point is, you pinned Top Flight. You could have pinned any team, because like in the singles ones, they're pretty protective. Like they know who they're gonna pin. In this one, let's pin the young and up and coming team. Also, my other favorite part, let's just beat up Private Party early in the night.
Yeah, it felt like Wednesday. This is how I'm interpreting how Wednesday went and how the booking of Wednesday went, right? I think TK heard a bunch of people, some great scholars of our wrestling industry, underground scholars of the wrestling industry, several weeks bash the AEW tag division and say that it's not great, and then the Lucha Brothers were, there was not concerns, but reports and rumors that they're leaving. And then he probably saw more people say, hey, it's not looking good. He's like, you know what? He truly believes in this tag division. He thinks the tag division's great and probably one of the best in the world, right? That's probably what TK believes. So he decided, you know what? We're going to do basically a unofficial tag team night of appreciation. We're going to have all of our tag teams go out and various different aspects. We got a Private Party out there, the Iron Savages, Learning Tree. We'll even throw them in here. We'll do a tag team gauntlet where we'll have pretty much the entire tag team division in this thing, right? I don't think there was really anyone other than the Young Bucks maybe missing from this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really celebrate our tag team division. And what it ended up doing was showcasing how weak, how shallow it is I guess shallow is not the word because there's a lot of teams, but how not hot anyone is, just a really abysmal outing for this showcase of the AEW tag team division. And when you have a team that they got put together, and some of the best tag team matches in the company are a tag team versus like two single stars put together, right? With Ospreay and Fletcher and Omega and Page. And I guess you can say Sting and Darby and yada, yada, yada. But, at the same times, when you have like one that's kind of created an hour beforehand, beat not only pretty much the rest of the division, but pin, guys that have been on the come up, I don't know, since the pandemic, 4 years now in this company, in Top Flight. It's really abysmal booking. That if you think this tag team division's great, everyone in the world has been calling for like, let's elevate some guys soon rather than later. Let's elevate Top Flight. Let's elevate, I think there's conversations probably right now, like let's elevate the Outrunners because they got the biggest pop. Let's elevate the Acclaimed a little bit more, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't even want to say elevate the Acclaimed, but they have elevated the Acclaimed in previous years. But it just feels like we've been talking about elevations or new people or something in this division for a while now, new surprises or anything in this for a while now, and we don't have it. We still don't have it.
All right, I'll ask you this:
the tag team division feels like the cruiserweight division of WCW of old.
So you have the Young Bucks, FTR, and the Acclaimed. Who is the fourth best tag team on this roster?
Not counting Ospreay and Fletcher?
They're not counting them.
I mean, the Acclaimed is really not the third best tag team.
No, but in terms of usage and popularity in the past couple of years, that is how they've been placed.
Yeah. Maybe Undisputed Kingdom? Maybe?
And they do not get treated like that, so oh boy.
No, I don't. Grizzled Young Veterans are too new to be number 4, I think.
And they're not signed.
The Outrunners definitely got a pop, but they're basically the Chopper tag team. Top Flight, I would love to say that they're number 4, but they don't feel right. They got pinned here.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not. And I think that company based in Connecticut likes to be pretty nasty with how they handle things. I think the best thing they ever did was then let out the report that the Motor City Machine Guns signed the day after. I thought that was like the perfect 1-2 punch for that entire scenario. I was like, all right, that was well done. I would have done the same thing. I would have just been like, oh yeah, by the way, those guys you were hoping to show up in that match. Yeah, no, we got them.
It was a PW Insider reported that the Motor City Machine Guns have officially signed with WWE. The belief that they're showing up on Tuesday this week for the USA debut, or no, sorry, not the USA, the CW debut of NXT. That 1-2 punch. I mean, that's the thing, right? I think Motor City Machine Guns going to NXT. I think is in just looking at that in terms of a vacuum is actually a good move. I think that if they're going there, especially as like player coaches, that means that you're going to have a lot more technical wrestling worked on, I think, in that company, especially through Alex Shelley, and not just like technical wrestling, but more like the lucha technical Yave style, a little bit of Alex Shelley. But then you also get like a great tag team that can teach people. You get Chris Sabin, who's been kind of like the Fit Finley of TNA for a very long time, like that women's coach producer. So like a lot, these are like good actual like people to bring into NXT. I think not bringing them in AEW, that 1-2 punch of not bringing the AEW, just being like, oh yeah, you're losing out on like another great tag team, is like, oh okay, great,
yeah.
Great.
I'm shocked they didn't follow the day after, but I mean they can't because they're still under contract, I'm sure, with AEW. But if they could have, they would have also said, "Oh yeah, we have the Lucha Bros now." Like that would have also followed through. It's not good though. Like this tag division is not good, and I don't know. I mean, I do know how you fix it. You just start making teams. and establishing teams. But I'm sitting there watching this gauntlet, right? I'm like, where's the conglomeration? Why couldn't you just put 2 of them in this? You know, as I message you like 7 times, where's Roosh? Where is this man? Put him in the Beast Mortos in here. At least the match would have been more exciting. I didn't need them to win, you know? It's like that's you could always have had Osprey and Fletcher win. Now I think we have gotten to the point where we are using Will Osprey as a band-aid for everything. But like I didn't care about that part. It was just about like the overall usage of the match. Also, if Jay White comes back and we're not just putting the belts on him and Juice Robinson, what are we doing? What are we doing?
If you want a proper 4, I guess they're moved into the trios division, but the Gun Club,
where the hell were they?
I would honestly consider the Gun Club as a number 4.
That was actually a shocking miss. I was like, aren't they like a top tag team? Like they had the tag belts. They're healthy.
We've had this conversation before. Like in total hindsight, I think the trios division was a bad idea. I think the trios division is eating up so much of the tag team division stars that it gets outcomes like this, where there is no House of Black in here. There is no Gun Club in here. There are no, even if you wanted to do like Nick Wayne and Kill Switch, right? Like, even that, there's just people lacking. You put Top Flight in here, but they lose, so who cares?
Yeah.
I
would even put Guevara and Dustin Rhodes in here.
That would make sense too. That would make sense as well.
Like they're working against themselves in some situations. I think long term, and people may not like this, but I look at Ricochet as a guy that should be utilized in the tag division.
I agree.
Like put him with the Seidel, or I don't know, pick anyone. I don't really care who you pick. At this point, I don't really care. I don't really care who the tag partner is. You just need some spice here. And I do think that you're right, and they both take from each other. I'm not even gonna say like you should just get rid of the trios. You should just get rid of one of them at this stage, because I don't care which one. Honestly, the trios feel more established in terms of like the overall trios rather than overall tag teams. I know the champions are a little confusing, but at least like there's movement there. We've gotten to the point where like the Young Bucks just disappear, and I don't really bat an eye. Like, what else are they supposed to do now? Like, they have the belts because they have to, right? It's not great. And honestly, like, this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've talked about this in the past couple of months. But when the Lucha Bros were leaving, now the Motion Machine Guns are definitely not coming in. And then you have this match.
Signal's got to go off. If I'm in the back, if I'm TK, flag's got to be waving, signal's got to be going off and being like, something's not working here.
Yeah.
If this was I read it as I'm proving to you that a tag division is actually great, and then this is the match that gets put on. Dave gave it 4 stars. That's insane.
Yeah, I know. Well,
this match gets put on, and the crowd's reaction is largely dead. Then you gotta change something up.
Dave had some ratings moments this week. Even so, so if I'm thinking here, like long term, who can you bring in to save the day? Because I wanted to come with solutions. I didn't want to just sit here and be like, this is bad.
We ragged on the division line.
Yeah, like this, like you're gonna have to look elsewhere for solutions. And I know people don't think they add much, but honestly, the Hurt Syndicate would have been a very nice addition to this. Whether that was Bob and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Hell, I've been asking if they come in to put Leo Rush with them. I think that would be great. I think that is an instant fix for just interest in the division, because you don't have to put, especially if you just put them on like Collision. Like half the tag division's on Collision anyways. So like I think that's an easy answer.
Have you seen Collision?
No.
There is a clip of Stokely Hathaway. It is a little promo, not promo segment, but I guess because he didn't talk. But there's a clip where Stokely Hathaway goes up to this sort of loft to watch a bunch of television matches, and he has DVDs written on it, Sting and Darby versus Bucks, Bucks versus Omega Page, FTR versus, White and Jude, the best tag team matches in the division.
Okay.
And he's watching all these, and that's the clip. And so
he
everyone's
was watching the Gauntlet the other day too, right?
I don't recall.
I remember him being in the crowd for something. I might have been that randomly because they were like, why is Stokely here?
Then I don't know if it's related, but we did have Action Andretti get mad and yell at the rest of the Top Flight crew. So I don't know if that's anything, but
don't put him in them.
Just because I'm only pointing that out as like sort of Stokely is a guy that has broken up teams before, so I don't know if he's gotten Action Andretti's head. But this idea of like people are sort of immediately associating that like maybe he's gonna be like the leader, the guy that brings in the Hurt Syndicate into the company, right? Yada yada yada. But that's the thing, right? Is like, is the Hurt Syndicate? No, I agree. Especially if
MVP's purpose would be. So,
but how do we feel about that? Just initially as like a thing, Hurt Syndicate and Ricochet traded for Lucha Brothers and losing out of Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, how do we feel about? Do we feel like that really fixes things? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if it fixes things, but it's something. We're at the place in this division where it needs to be something. And I'm a big fan of Bobby Lashley. So, like, I think him and Shelton would be good. They're longtime vets. They know what they're doing type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like, I mean, if we want to talk about fair trades, obviously earlier in the year with Okada, Monet, and Ospreay, and everyone's like, oh, WWE can't sign anyone. And ever since then, like, it's just been like, everyone else, like WWE signed Vaquer and Julia and this Delta that I don't know if is real, but I keep hearing her name.
Yes, she's good.
Oh, okay, good. Motor City Machine Guns, not the Lucha Bros yet, but eventually the Lucha Bros. Like that is sometimes I think just like overall the wrestling community looks at the big names and the big single stars and it's like, oh, that's a win. But ultimately, WWE is adding to all their divisions while they don't need. WWE also has the ability; they can push anyone they want and they get over right now. Like that's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
So that helps too. But they're making good signings, whether it be for NXT or beyond. And I think
it feels like their signings are adding depth to the roster.
Oh, Jacob Fatu, by the way, Fatu is probably the best signing for them all year. And not so much, but you got to include them. But like, yeah, they're making all the right signs. I thought Jacob Fatu should have been signed by AEW years ago, because if WWE ever got their hands on him, it was over. Like he was going to be great. But that's not the conversation here today. I think things can be fine, right? And I'm sure they will, because I think Tony Khan's someone that pays attention to social media, probably a little bit too much. But he probably saw the reaction to this match and was like, okay, well, we're going to have to fix something. January is where I was looking towards as a potential. I know it's far away. I know people are impatient, so that's why you have to think of other things sooner. But El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Galeno Del Mal are going to be available, folks.
Or at least Dr. Wagner Jr. for sure.
Well, yeah, Galeno's available. He's not signed to anyone. So if you want to get some spice in this division, get some excitement in this division, get something that moves me dearly, it's those two. Like those two would be at the top of my list to completely rejuvenate a tag division, because you bring them in, their size, their power, their awesomeness.
The moment Galeno Del Mal does a tope, the crowd's gonna go bonkers.
Oh man, it's gonna be special. So I'm
gonna be on here being like, when am I gonna get Beast Mortos versus Galeno Del Mal? I mean,
I think you said that like the moment the Beast Mortos showed back up in AEW, though, to be fair. So that's not like something you just thought of. You've been on that.
And if you want to steal more people from Noah, hey, Dragon Bane, Alpha Wolf, I'll take them too. Now the problem
hey, we're not trying to take everyone from Noah.
If you're taking all these Mexican wrestlers, this conglomeration of Noah, The problem here is that, Super Crazy is going to come with it. And, and I don't know if I want Super Crazy.
The reason I say Wagner is because it does sound like he's going to be leaving. Like, that just sounds like.
Yes.
So I don't feel really that bad being like, go get them. Because if you don't go get them, WWE might.
We know, so like, you will. They're looking for movement.
Yeah. And I think those two are going to be awesome wherever they go. And I think they're kind of a package deal just based on Galeno being over there a lot more right now. So that would be who I'm going for if I'm them. But you got to make teams in the meantime. You have so many people on this roster to just throw together. Yep. Also, free my boy Big Bill. That has nothing to do with the tag division. Just free my boy Big Bill. Though he was the former tag team champion in this company.
Well, we can do Big Bill, Brian Keith as a sort of.
That's a team. You know what? That's a team. Do I like the learning tree? No, but is that a team? Yes. And
would I rather see that pairing of the learning tree in matches with Jericho as a manager type? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would. I'm even thinking of like putting hologram. Like where was this is gonna sound? You're gonna. Never mind. Jeff Jarrett got beat up, but I was like, where is Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett? They challenged for the tag belts 157 times at one point. Mm-hmm. It just feels like when I was watching this, it's like, is there less tag teams than I thought of here? Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor, where are they?
Yeah, I think the bigger issue for me is that it's not necessarily that there's less tag teams. I think it's that
exciting tag team.
There's nothing exciting. I think that AEW has always had a robust tag team division. Mm-hmm. I think that as time has gone on, they have actively not put a lot of effort into their younger tag teams. Sure. And it really showed here to me. Mm-hmm. These are a lot of new faces and new names that have come into the division recently. And if you want to compare that even to the early days of AEW, when they have a lot of new faces, new names that most people don't know coming into the company, they've still found a way to get them hot. Granted, the company was hot and the company was interesting very at the jump, but you're at a point where the company's cold, and when the company's cold, things like this seem worse. And so you need to find ways to make these people actually hot. I think it's very apparent, in our reviews of the build to All In and maybe other people's reviews and stuff and thoughts on All In, that I think people are very much tired of Young Bucks, FTR, Acclaimed. It's especially FTR and the Young Bucks, basically a back-to-back year of matches at All In, I think is really telling about where this tag team division is. You need to build people up, and granted, putting together teams like Fletcher and Ospreay, I'm for, honestly. I'm for, creating new teams. We've been on here talking about you need to be creating new teams, and that's fine. That's a new team created. The problem is, I don't think that team's lasting that long. I think that team, if they lose, and probably going to lose the tag belts, they break up afterwards, and that's it. And beyond that, it's like you have all these other people, MXM Collection, Outrunners, Undisputed Kingdom, Top Flight, Righteous, all these other people that, Private Party, Learning Tree, Iron Savages, all these other people on this card that are heatless, it feels like. And I think that's the bigger issue, is that, especially for guys like Top Flight, you've had them in this company for 40 years. And granted, a lot of that time has been put away to injuries. But then again, there's seemingly no effort into really pushing these guys right now. And it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah. See that? No pop. That's how I felt like 27 times throughout that. And I think even so, I'm naming all these different people, put them in there and just let them do something at this stage, right? Yeah. Because you have a good showing, that's how you get over. Mm-hmm. It's just natural. But whatever. I'm done talking about this tag division.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about it again when some other thing happens. But hopefully, when the Hurt Syndicate comes in, and are there any other people beyond taking people from Noah? Is there any other people that you would love to? Even love to see in this company? Any people in the Indies that you would maybe pick up? The Indies are not really great, but
the Indies, the Indies.
I don't know, a team like Violence is Forever or something. I had this thought the other day. I'll remember this by you, and this is a full Georgia pilled thought. possibly. But I have always liked Adam Priest as a wrestler, and I think that he would be a good guy to pick up. We're not talking about hot people, but hey, if I'm going to put a tag team together, let me throw you this one: Adam Priest and Tommy Billington as a tag team.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Right?
I don't have a reason against it.
These guys need work. Put them in a tag team to hide it as he gets better.
I know this team doesn't.
A tag team with short dudes, they call them short kings.
I know this team may not jump off the page for people, but why not like the West Coast Wrecking Crew? Yeah. What are they doing? I know they're not like top of the line, but they're pretty solid. And hear me out here, they're a new tag team, which I know crazy. You don't even have to sign them. You can just work with them through New Japan. You don't have to pay them that much, Tony. You don't have to give them this luxurious contract. You could just be like, hey, let's have them be featured. I think that was also the other problem with the Gauntlet, by the way. You have established outside talent from other companies coming in. Instead, we just got the AEW tag division. So, tough. Oh, well.
In a past life, I never would have recommended this, but I would have been more than happy if we brought in Jordan Oliver to team with Nick Wayne in this company. More than happy to get that guy signed.
Isn't he hurt?
Yeah. He was not hurt at the time. Obviously, he was available, but
now like way back.
Yeah. Now he's on the shelf for sure. But,
the
past life, I'm like, I don't want this guy on my television now.
Folks, I'll tell you what this means. Ryan's gonna come around on Joe Hendry next.
I'm seeing on Cage Match people giving it 8 stars in a Joe Hendry match, and I'm like, excuse me?
I know you're looking at that like the Goblin Mask. It's like, I'm not gonna watch it. But I know if I know Ryan well enough, Ryan's gonna want to prove a point.
Well, the real tragedy there, Scotty, is that you're looking at the Goblin Mask and getting the temptation. But if anything from that last Spider-Man movie's taught me is that the guy doesn't have to wear the Goblin Mask to be the Goblin.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking stuff there. Though, to be fair, just look at the mask. Think about the mask. The mask is Joe Hendry.
It's just his face.
Because you believe in Joe Hendry.
Well, speaking of AEW, they have a TV deal update. Nothing officially confirmed yet, but Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio said, quote, everyone knows, but the WWE deal is a done deal. There are going to be changes from what I gather. There's going to be a pay-per-view component in this deal. Exactly what it is, I don't know. But if they're doubling the number and WBD is getting the rights to the pay-per-views, that makes doubling the number make more sense in a lot of ways. I don't know exactly if it's going to be how UFC does it, if it's going to be how WWE does it, but there is going to be a deal with Max with the pay-per-views in some form, what it looks like. So Dave Meltzer is reporting that the AEW TV deal with Warner Media has been signed, and that there is a pay-per-view component. At the same time, there are also rumors and rumblings of AEW potentially having some deal with Fox. That's right, Fox, the company that threw WWE SmackDown away as fast as they could as soon as the contract was over. From the jump, they were like, yeah, we're not sure about this product. But as soon as SmackDown's gone, apparently there are rumors that maybe AEW on Fox, I don't know if it's Fox proper, could be like a Tubi, could be a Tubi, some other form of thing, but maybe that's what AEW Shockwave is. We don't know yet, but there are the rumors of AEW Fox coming around. I don't know where Roosh is, Scotty, on AEW television, but I do know I saw Roosh sitting in front of a bunch of Fox logos on his Twitter page. So any thoughts right now of the AEW TV deal potentially being formalized, the pay-per-views on Max, and the potential Fox, some sort of aspect Fox TV deal for AEW?
Just what I need, another AEW TV show. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, no, I kind of do mean that. I don't watch 2 of them anymore for the most part. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to think if you hit Fox in any way, shape, or form, whether it be FS1 or I don't think it's gonna be Fox proper, but whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. I would like to think there's more effort into Shockwave. I mean, I'm happy that
if it's
they
on
are.
Fox proper, it's the new flagship show. I'm so sorry. If it's on,
Absolutely. It could be called AEW. How's your mama? Like, it would have to be the A show, like, which would be very nice if it asked
is
nicely.
is that show run by Stokely Hathaway?
It would be very nice, like, if they asked how people's mothers were every week. I think that'd be very kind of them.
It's run by Stokely Hathaway and produced by Mark Wahlberg.
Hell, I don't really care what Fox channel is on. You're gonna have to try more with it, no matter what it is. If you are getting a separate deal outside of WBD, which I was hoping that they would. I was at least hoping that we would hear something like that. But yeah, not a really big shock that a deal is coming together here. My biggest takeaway is the pay-per-view aspect, because if it's like UFC, that's going to be terrible for me mentally, because you have to subscribe to Max and then pay full price for pay-per-view. I don't want to be doing that in a world where WWE is just like, here's my show.
Yeah,
have fun, enjoy it. Like, you're playing, you should be playing with your competitor right now. And obviously, I'm not saying give away these things for free, but even half price, I'll take. Not full price pay-per-views anymore.
It's a tough thing, right? Is that like, I think it's really tough to say exactly when, but I feel like, just in terms of the timeline, one of the things that helped started WWE getting hot, obviously officially was Vince McMahon officially leaving the second time, partly the first time, but around all of that as well was the WWE on Peacock pay-per-view deal got established. And I do feel like that helped jump up a lot of the WWE popularity. And yeah, like that is to a large extent going to be free to the audience, right? That's, other than those paying for Peacock at, what is it, $9.99, $14.99, whatever that deal is. So it did expand in popularity, but you lost out on money. Now you're getting the money from the television shows, so the pay-per-views don't really matter. So we can use the pay-per-view business and get rid of it completely, since we destroyed it on our own with the network, and use it as sort of a popularity tool and expand into other markets, expand into other homes. With AEW, they don't have that exact luxury when it comes to losing out on the pay-per-view deals and going full brand. Let's make it as available as possible, $9.99, however much Max is right now, to our audience or to whoever audience, so that we can try to use it as a hook, line, and sinker and try to get a bunch of new viewers into our product, right? They don't really have that. These TV deals that are coming up will allow that, definitely more so, but they, I think, are still reliant on pay-per-view to pay for a lot of their stuff, even when they have a great TV deal and they're about to, let's say, double it. That's pretty good. Now, could it be cheaper? Maybe there's an argument that you make the pay-per-views cheaper. Now, if it's on Max, you're probably splitting some of that revenue with them. Has Max done live sports yet? I don't think they have yet, not to my knowledge. Maybe someone in the chat will know. I don't think they've done live sports yet, but this idea of them going to Max, I think, is a smart move. I think they might be caught in terms of, I think that's the big thing. It's like, I think a lot of people outside talk about how they want to see the pay-per-views on Max to make it easier accessibility, potentially better than Triller, Fight. A lot of people have issues with those companies in terms of their streaming abilities. But, in theory, a lot of this would be better accessibility, and hopefully, I think a lot of people just assume it's going to be free. I think if they announced the pay-per-views on Max and said that it's going to be $60, I think people will be upset, right? I think your average wrestling fan, AEW fan, is going to be like, oh, I'm going to accept. Because there is a precedent with WWE now where if the stuff's going on pay-per-view, is going to be as part included in the price of admission, I should say, into the streamer. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm gonna see how it is. that's all my talking points. And Scotty left to go to the bathroom, and he hasn't come back yet. So I guess I'm gonna move on because I don't really have any more talking points on that television deal per se. But I guess we'll talk about the other TV deal that's sort of been formally announced. It was announced on Monday. The WWE Raw, in between the sort of lame duck period of leaving. No, where are they going before they go to Netflix? Right, they are going to be October to the end of 2024. It's been obviously revealed that they're going to be on, I believe, USA, but they're going to go into a 2-hour format for the first time in, I don't know, 20 years maybe. Dave,
20?
I don't know, 2015. It's been a long time, right?
Whenever Raw 1000 happened.
Yeah, definitely not 2024. It was 2010s for sure. So maybe 10, 15 years. Dave did earlier in the week as well report that he believed that it was going to be a 3-hour show on Netflix. But when the 2-hour deal for Raw came up, he then kind of backtracked that and said that, the plan for Netflix is to be determined. Quote, it was noted that a normal Raw at 3 hours is 132 minutes. So you can have the same content in a 2.5-hour show with less commercial time. There will be commercials on Netflix. Is one of the reasons Netflix picked up Raw, because they're trying to add commercials to programming and yada, yada, yada. But basically, initially, he said it was going to be 3 hours on Raw. And then when the 2-hour thing came up, he said, well, actually, it could be 2 hours still. It hasn't been decided. So what do you think about 2 hours on USA for the next several months? And then the potential of it being 2 hours permanently when it moves to Netflix?
Oh, it's beautiful. That's how you make things better. 3-hour programming in anything is not easy. Unless it's NFL football, you are not succeeding with 3-hour content. That's just how it goes. And nothing's football, to be fair, here in this country. Like that blows away everything. So like I think it just will benefit the overall shows and anyone that watches those. It sure makes Raw more interesting if you want to check it out. It'll be interesting to see like what they do within the 2 hours since it's been so long. But it's like, oh no, I can't watch. I'm not gonna name names. I was gonna be really mean, but I'm not gonna name names. Can't watch Otis and whatever Sonya Deville's weird faction is there. That doesn't look all too good. Like that's what you're gonna miss out on, but you're gonna hit all the main storylines. And I am someone who got into wrestling when Raw was 2 hours, and 2 hours of Raw was like must see, even if it wasn't always great. For me, it was must see at that time. So I think it's a benefit for them, even if it's less. And when it goes to Netflix, I don't think the timing really matters. I think they probably gonna just do whatever they want. It's gonna be 2+ hours. I think that's the best way to go into it, but like they don't have timing. They can put that show on whenever they want, however long they want, because it's on Netflix. There's nothing following it. Like, unless it's beautiful for them. It's like the perfect deal. Like, get it. I always was interested in what a streaming service live show would look like, because it's like there's no competition. Like, you're not going to see the ratings. It's perfect for WWE. It really is.
Yeah, it's a perfect grouping here. Yeah, I think 2 hours in Raw makes sense. Obviously they lose out of it on USA. That means less money. I guess technically moving forward, right? They did have to come hat in hand to USA to try to get some sort of weird deal, because they knew that they were going to have this weird lame duck period, October to January, right? So they knew they were probably going to lose out on something, and USA decided to just only give them 2 hours instead of 3.
Sure. They must have had something else planned too, probably,
possibly as well. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, is that like you're also going to get a ratings bump in a weird way, right? Like, because the third hour is always the one that drags. Because the third hour, like, obviously, the whole idea of the third hour was to garner more money, right? Is to garner more commercial time, to create more revenue based off of your television, and then you can sell more ads and do all this sort of stuff. Netflix starting the commercials is still very early, and they're trying to sell all these ads. And wrestling is not typically even WWE is not typically a company that's really great in terms of selling ads. I mean, WWE is obviously the best compared to everybody else. But with Netflix, I think obviously also there's no other competition to sustain for 3 hours, and there's no ratings, so you don't have to really worry. So I guess there are ratings. I don't really know how Netflix sells ads in terms of commercials if there are no ratings, right? Like, I don't know how they do it. Obviously, they have some sort of demographics and stuff that they can play and sell off of, but I don't really know how that's going to work out in that regard. But, you don't really need to sell a lot of ads if it's just 2 hours. And I think it would make sense for them to go 2 hours on Netflix. There's no real reason to go 3 hours other than to sell more ads and play more commercials. But your Netflix, you're just starting out. Do you want to go from the jump 3 hours? Does it really matter?
No.
It doesn't. It doesn't. 3
It
hours
doesn't
on
matter.
cable television makes sense. 3 hours on streamers, yeah, you can do it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 3 hours.
It doesn't matter either way, to be fair, because people are just gonna watch it after. So that's the beauty of the Netflix thing. Again, that's the fun part about this is we could have this debate 2 versus 3. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It truly doesn't matter when it comes to the streaming service.
That's why, if I'm Netflix, I'm just giving them free reign from 2 to 3. Oh, you want to go 2.5 this week? Good. Oh, you want to go 2 hours and 10 minutes? All right, go crazy. It's we'll just have the commercials ready type thing.
Exactly.
It's whatever. By the way, Max does have a sports. They have tried a sports segment. It's extra money though, so I would assume that would be it. If they do pay-per-views for free, they're adding it to
how much
that.
extra money? Is it extra money per event?
I think it's $10 for
$10
the
total?
BR. It's BR Sports on Max. It's an extra $10 a month
on top of whatever you're paying on Max, which is
yes, which is probably at least 15. Oh my god.
How much is Max?
Oh, sorry. This is Disney, Hulu, and Max. My apologies.
Yeah. Max is just $9.99 a month. So then another $10 to make it 20 is BR Live. That becomes.
I looked at the bundle. I was like, $30 a month. Oh god. Yeah. So if you're doing the ads, it's gonna be $20 a month, which isn't too bad if you're getting. It's probably more useful if you're into a lot of sports, but if you're not, because it includes the NBA, NHL, MLB, US Soccer, NCAA March Madness, and potentially AEW. That's pretty good.
I don't know about the NBA anymore, but
well, for this year, this year it includes the NBA.
Yeah, we'll see about the NBA moving forward. We'll see about that one. But yeah, I guess then it becomes a question of you might what I said while you were out when it came to the AEW TV Deal pay-per-view stuff is it comes down to, I think, accessibility to a newer audience versus maintaining your price and not having a massive loss. You're maintaining a lot of that when you get potentially doubling your stuff, doubling your rights fees and all these sort of things. But obviously a big proponent that along with Vince stepping down that helped WWE a lot was being basically free other than the price of admission into Peacock. If you're paying $20 to get to AEW and that's it for the pay-per-views, is $20 basically a month, then that's good, right? That's a good I think that is a good half and half thing of we're losing out on the money, the $60, we're losing out on $40 per person. I guess more than $40 or you're splitting or whatever. Missing out on roughly $40 per person for these pay-per-views. But we're doubling our rights fees, so we'll be able to make up for that in some capacity. But we'll be hopefully, ideally, more available to people that want to watch our product. So I think that's a good thing. It's it being paywalled again behind the BNR Sports edition. I think that's a tougher bit. I
think you'd have to keep all the other avenues if you do that.
Yeah, Max is already struggling getting people signed up. Now they have to get people signed up to this other additional thing. I think that's where the accessibility to a broader audience is going to have to come a tough tough spot here for AEW. But Raw 2 hours for the next several months, but and then we'll see what happens with Netflix.
I mean, they're still going against football, so it doesn't matter. By the way, they're still going against Monday Night Football, so
that is definitely true.
In the end, it doesn't even matter.
Let's talk about CMLL.
Hold on.
They had their 91st anniversary show on Friday out of Arena, Mexico. I don't remember what the attendance was. I'll see if I can look it up.
It was sold out.
It was definitely sold out. It was just a question of how much standing room was available, I guess you could say. But I'll look that up. CML's 91st anniversary show of Mexico City and Arena, Mexico. I don't know, a pretty solid, okay, good show with one match that was obviously great and one main event that stunk to high heavens. So I guess we'll start with that main event because that's the big talking point coming out of this, of course. The main event, of course, was Mystico versus Chris Jericho in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Where Chris Jericho didn't win, by the way.
Yes. Unlike whatever AEW thinks, Chris Jericho did not win. Don't know what happened there, but Mystico won this match 22 minutes and 11 seconds. This is getting abysmally reviewed online, currently on Cage Match at a 37 votes. It has a 3.58 on Cage Match. That is basically a 1.75 of a thing. And honestly, I think that's pretty fair. You know, when I'm watching this thing, I'm watching the finish of it all. You know, look, they're two still pretty good workers. Mystico being a way better worker right now, obviously, than Chris Jericho. So the work was solid, right? It's just by the time you finish the second fall and you get into the third, it's just the whole match is so slow. The third fall takes forever to get to, and everything just kind of falls apart. Chris Jericho is just way too slow and not really working it well. Mystico he gives up at a certain point.
He was fed up.
Yeah, but when the match ends in a shitty La Mystica, and then the ref raises his arms, and Mystico almost doesn't really raise his arms, but almost just shrugs to the crowd.
Yeah,
that's bad.
So
they do a post-match angle that no one cared for. Not
Everyone
even
left.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy comes in, do his bit, and then leaves. Yeah,
that was atrocious to do that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the main event? It was really bad.
You know, I love Mystico.
Mm-hmm.
I fly the Mystico flag as high as anyone possibly can. That doesn't follow. You know, that isn't you're damn right, exactly. So you know,
flying the flag as Mystico.
I talk myself into this match. I talk myself into excitement for a Chris Jericho match because Ryan, you have been doing this show with me all year. You know how much I can't stand Chris Jericho matches. I don't even watch his segments on AEW anymore. That's how much I don't want to watch him.
But it's him and CMLL. And outside of the AEW bubble, so maybe
it had a hot way to get there. People were interested, so I was like, okay, you know, Mystico in the main event. Maybe Magical Strike. Maybe Jericho can put it together. Little did I know, Jericho's done. He doesn't have it. It's over. Yeah, this stunk. So there's a lot of things that worked against this. One of the biggest ones is that it should not have went after the mask match because the crowd was drained.
Yeah.
Right? The crowd was absolutely drained. Yeah, like even Mystico, someone who obviously gets the biggest cheers and the biggest reactions in Arena Mexico on a weekly basis and is the draw of that building, couldn't get them into it for a while.
Not only that, I think the crowd was fully against Mystico. He got a good amount of boos in this match.
Yeah.
It was a lot of that's more smarky, historic.
Oh, it's Jericho coming in. Mm-hmm. And listen, he's played to that before. He's not against that. But what they needed to do was have it just be more of a heel beat down with the ripping of the mask and all these things. And ultimately it just went off the mark. And when that first La Mystica like attempt happened and like they just dropped into it, I was like, oh dear God, this is terrible. Jericho just can't move fast enough for, and like the thing is, Mystico's style is the most simple style in
Yeah,
CMLL.
another reason why we thought it would work is that like
Right.
Mystico's not like
And
the fastest luchador out there right now.
no, he has his thing, and if you do his thing right, it's fine. And that didn't even work. And you could see Mystico visibly get upset with it. Not because of the fans. He didn't really care about that part. It's just the work. He knew he wasn't going to be able to bring them back in, right? Even when Mystico's booed at times in Arena Mexico, he usually brings them back in, right? Like when Penta showed up. Remember when Penta was there that one time? That was pretty cool. He able to bring them back, and this was just not the time it was going to happen. I think you could see him visibly start to give up. Obviously, you could visibly see he was pissed when the match was over. And I think it was in a way, it was a perfect, okay, let's just never do this again type thing.
Yeah.
You only get so many big Mystico matches, so I understood the idea going with Jericho because of his history in Mexico and whatnot. But this would have been fine for a Super Viernes, not the 91st anniversary show.
Well, like I said this to you in on Slack, is that like on paper it makes sense, right? I was
Sure.
listening to a preview. I don't remember if it was his written preview or his audio, where Cubs fans said something along the lines of like, a lot of the CMLL, a lot of the Mexican CMLL fans see Chris Jericho as sort of a global superstar still, and a guy, almost kind of like one of their own, like it's almost a pride thing where, Chris Jericho is a guy that started his career, and then one of the big international first dates he had was in Mexico, right? So this idea of, they sort of see him as their own, and he's coming back as a global superstar. This is a big deal against their ace for the past several decades, in a dream match, right? On paper, it makes sense as a main event, right? Especially when the semi-main mask versus mask match, a Puestas match, is a lot of like upper mid card guys in a feud here. It's not, it makes total sense. The problem is that in practice in 2024, it does not hold up. Chris Jericho is not at all who he once was, and he really can't go in this spot. They worked the slower style, which did not work at all.
No.
Mystico, when he knows the crowd's not against him and actively booing him, when he knows his opponent is going to do, not really a lot of great work, we've seen Mystico. He gives up. He stops putting the effort in. So it became a recipe for disaster in practice. It was a tough watch for those 20 minutes.
It was really bad end. It should not have been the main event.
That's right.
And I mean, I think I felt that way once halfway through the mask match anyways. It's like that they're just not coming close to this. Had they gone on before, maybe it's a lot better if they're going to do that stupid angle at the end.
Yeah.
Just because like that didn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why did you accept this? This is your biggest show of the year. Why is this happening?
They continued an AEW mid-card angle
Yeah.
on television that had an angle on Wednesday that stunk, and then it had this angle that stunk.
Yeah,
that they're going to show for 30 seconds on Collision probably and say Jericho won.
They actually showed it for 12.
Oh, good, because they didn't show the finish.
I'm just going based off Lucha Blog. Yeah, they showed the finish of the first fall and said he won. And said he won the third fall.
Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy. Sloppy shop. Sloppy shop.
That's one of those things where it's like that. I watched that. I was like, if I see a single AEW fan defend this, I will fight. Like this is like I was like, you can defend whatever you want. I understand you love AEW. You can't defend any of that just happened.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I wonder if that was even maybe Jericho was supposed to win, right, and beat Mystico. Maybe that's like Mystico why he was so upset at the end, right? That that he was like, "Oh, I was supposed to win. The finish didn't work or whatever." And maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Uh,
I doubt Mystico's losing.
Semi-main event was that mask versus mask Apuestas match here. Like I said, a bunch of upper mid-carders in the company looking for their next big jump out moment here. It was Esfinge, Hechicero, Valiente, and Euphoria. I forget who it was, but someone explained in one of the informas that I think it was Euphoria that explained that this sort of elimination style, in terms of a US based identity. We always see it as like who's losing, right? That's the bigger thing.
Yeah.
Whereas their elimination match styles, as Euphoria, I believe, explained, might have been Esfinge, explained, and more so the meaning and the story behind this match is that it's not about who's losing, it's about who's winning. Is that you don't want to be eliminated because you want to win this match.
Yeah,
It's not that you don't want to lose your mask. It's that you want to win this match. You want to win a mask at the anniversary show. And especially for Hechicero, as he laid it out, he's never gotten a big moment in Arena Mexico, and he wanted that. And boy, howdy, did he get it. This was a great match. Hechicero wins. He defeats Euphoria for that mask. I'll look up what his official name is in a moment, but I thought this match was fan-freaking-tastic, Scotty. What did you think of the semi-main?
I thought this was incredible. The emotion and the crowd and the importance of the mask was heavily focused on throughout the match. And I think that's what set it apart. Yes, the wrestling was great. I'm watching these guys. I'm watching Valiente, who popped me many
love
times in
Valiente.
this match.
I'm
He's
super
awesome.
Valiente
I
fan.
was so I'm watching Valiente. I'm like, I know he's probably gonna lose his mask. I think he's the oldest guy in the match. And when he got eliminated, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no, what is happening? Because it was just down to Euphoria and Hechicero. I was like, oh boy, we're in this. Also, if Esfinge getting eliminated first was the right move.
Also, you skipped over Esfinge. I thought he was great in this match. I thought the start of this match, the very hot start of this, was there were so
everything was great.
There were so many early on things that I liked in my multi-mans, as you know. Hot start, everyone's fighting each other nonstop. No one's really going.
This was like the shortest 30+ minute match I think I've watched this year. And when I say that, is like I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. They were incredible in this match. And I think everyone
the closing stretch was just like, what do I gotta do to beat these guys?
I think everyone deserves a lot of credit, but CMLL has kind of shown their hand this year in that they want to make Hechicero a star
on a global scale.
I think that's why they did the Zach match the way they did in Arena Coliseo, see if they could bring in eyes on one of their lesser shows, which it did, and had an incredible atmosphere, sold out. And now they put him into this match to give him a mask, and it couldn't have worked better. This was the best performance of Hechicero's career. This was an incredible performance. I'm watching this guy. I'm like, why do we just make him a technical wrestler when he goes anywhere else? He is unbelievable. This guy is doing these insane moonsaults to the outside. I thought he lost his hamstrings on the freaking leg drop to the barricade. I was like, he's dead. I'm dead. I would be dead.
But instead, he probably tore his bicep.
I'm pretty sure he tore his bicep on the first move. I don't know if anyone remembers the beginning of the match because so much went on, but just something happened where he like jumped off the ropes and landed wrong. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And then he proceeded to wrestle.
He was favoring for a long while his arm. I thought it was like his inner, like his groin or something. I think it was just him crawling around, and that's really kind of.
I was gonna say, I think he was just beat up after a while.
And then at one point, and then like 5 minutes later into the match, he comes in and he has a bunch of bandages wrapped around his bicep. I was like, here we go, Hetchy.
But you wouldn't know. Like that's the thing. Like his performance was so incredible. Him and Euphoria in that final match essentially was
there's a good
unbelievable.
Chance this guy, my boy Big Hetchy, which is the nickname I'm using for him moving
Big
forward.
Hetchy.
He possibly tore his bicep super early into the match and then wrestled for 36 minutes.
He was incredible. Euphoria was incredible. Valiente was incredible. This was probably the best I've ever seen at Singay. They knew the assignment. They went out there and they delivered on the assignment. And the emotion of Soberano Jr. specifically in that post match was like, that stood out to me the most. He was distraught for Euphoria, and I'm just like watching this. I was like, this is why you do this match last, by the way. Like, nothing's gonna top this. The crowd's crying, everyone's crying. It's an emotional moment. Hechicero's like a superstar. He was getting chance in the main event. He was gone. He was long gone by then.
That's the one thing about the main event that I think is a real show. Like, what we really saw from the main event is how over Hechicero is.
Yeah,
the crowd did not want this, and they wanted Hechicero.
This is a guy that they're going to go with whenever, depending on however his bicep is. They're going to go with him in the long term. Because I'm watching this, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked because the thing with the mask match is anyone can win.
I did a whole series on Patreon about the mask.
I know you did.
I know this.
Like, anyone can win. So, like, I'm watching Euphoria and Hechicero there. I'm like, I don't know. I could see Hechicero a lot. And they got some near falls there where I was like, that type of thing. But this was unbelievable. Like, if you're going to watch anything from the show, just watch this. I think everything else you can miss. This you have to watch. This I think is Lucha at its very best, truthfully. Like, in every way, in the pomp and circumstance of it all, the action. And shout out to my boy Valiente. He's awesome. And I was like, I don't want him to lose his mask. I'm too committed to this guy now.
Yeah, I got super into Valiente and the build to this thing. Yeah, breakout year for Hechicero. I don't know where he gets voted on in terms of like, Mexico MVPs or Wrestler of the Year, any of these sort of things, but a down ballot guy, I gotta believe. Breakout year for this guy. Of his top 10 matches on Cage Match, the top 4 from this year, this match, the mask versus mask match being his number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his top 10 matches are from this year alone. Across CMLL, Rev Pro, and AEW. So this guy has had a phenomenal year, and he is breaking out in a big time way, and I can't wait to see more. The other thing I want to say is Euphoria announced himself as Jose Leobardo Moreno Leon out of Torreon, Mexico, 49 years old. That was the announced ages and all these sort of things. I did not know this, honestly. And when he came out, I got quite confused. Did not honestly know that he's the father of Soberano Jr.
I think I was watching with a few people, and they're like, "Oh, Soberano Jr." Like, we're trying to like figure out like what's the connection here. And then as time goes on, it's like research is like, "Oh, he's his dad. Oh, this is really emotional now. Oh shit, I might cry." Like, I know Soberano Jr. has been shelved in the world of CMLL this year. That should change because he's way too good to be shelved the way he's been. And I think for me, the way I saw him and get this moment with his dad, I was like, okay, that should be the end of whatever he had to go through booking wise. Now it's time to, because I think Soberano's just so good, and like him being out there and just getting away from the heel stuff and just being a son. I thought that was a really special moment.
What I do like about that is that, look, I'm turning Hechicero, Big Hechi, Technico as soon as possible, right? I think this match probably turns him Technico.
Yeah, that was a baby face in there during this match.
Yes, the main event didn't prove anything else either. Hey, if you want a big Apuestas match down the line, I think Soberano Jr.'s got one. If he wants to get a little revenge on for his father,
that's a huge match.
I think Soberano Jr. versus Hechicero is a big Apuestas match. I think obviously Templario and Soberano Jr. down the line is definitely going to happen. Those, I don't know when those happen, obviously, but two matches to me like that. I'm like, oh, two apuestas matches that I'm genuinely excited for.
Yeah.
The next 20 years probably is hopefully Soberano Jr. and Templario, and Soberano Jr. honestly and Hechicero, because I think that could be a great one as he tries to get revenge for his father. But yeah, this great match. Obviously, Hechicero was great in here. I think Euphoria put up an all-time match here as well. Esfinge looked great. Valiente looked great. I talked about this a lot. A great series, by the way, on the Patreon, Mascara Madness, where I go and talk about a bunch of mask versus mask matches around the globe, not just in Mexico, not just in CMLL, but AAA, but in Dragon Gate, in WWE. Talked about a bunch of different places and a bunch of different mask versus mask matches. And one of the things I talked about how, mask versus mask matches can be a lot of things in terms of the storytelling. They can be, the end of a heated rivalry, sort of a blow off to a feud, the beginning of something new with Dragon Dia losing his mask and Dragon Gate 4 or 5 years ago. It could be the revival to a large extent of a guy's singles career, like Viano 5 versus Blue Panther, right? A shock revival for a guy's singles career, right? It can be a lot of different things. And to me, this mask versus mask match was the coronation of a top star in CMLL and Hechicero, and that's what I really loved about this.
Yeah, he was, and I think the best part of it is that he just went out there and had the best match of his career
and killed it with a broken freaking arm.
Yeah. So funny thing. AEW just posted a highlight reel from the show on social.
AEW.
Yeah. Mystico has now won the match that he won.
Oh, good for him.
Video. Yeah. Crazy. I know, because they said he lost. So I don't know how that how that switched, but just wanted to point that out. Which is good. I think the highlight video like that's good. But yeah, Hechicero, he's a guy that stood out to me in the 2023 Fantastica Mania.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I ever saw him. That's when I started to get into CMLL, and I was like, this guy should be doing way more than whatever he's doing. I don't care what he's doing. He should be doing more. This guy's a beast. And it's been nice to see him go from there to now my main event of the Aniversario show. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, everyone was great, but he took a beating in this match, by the way. Like, besides the bicep, I felt like he took every major bump humanly possible, and he just kept getting back up.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic wrestler. Listen, he's not going to win like Mexico MVP or anything, because Mystico just existing wins that.
I mean, I think this semi-main event and main event, I think Mystico pretty much locks it, right?
Mystico's the biggest draw in pro wrestling.
Oh, I understand this.
That's why he's like, it's just.
I'm saying that, like, when it comes to voters, there are going to be people that are going to think back to this anniversary show and be like, "Yo, that Mystico match."
He'll get some love.
He'll get love. I'm not saying Mystico is like not.
No, I meant Hechicero will get love.
Yes,
which
I think if Hechicero doesn't somehow beat Mystico, which it's going to be a tough hill to climb, he's number 2, maybe number 3 at least.
Yeah, I think he definitely gets the love he deserves. If there was a most outstanding for Mexico, I think Hechicero would get that. That's how you set apart the business from the in-ring, and I think that's how you would set that best apart. But what a year for him. They have another breakout star. In a year of them having people break out, they have another one.
If you did a poll, this would be a great idea. If you did a poll to look at the best around the globe, this is a great idea, Scotty. And you asked a bunch of people, like, who was the best in this promotion and this promotion, and anybody that wrestled in those promotions can be included. Like Hechicero is going to get votes in Mexico. He may or may not get votes in America. He may or may not get votes in England. Like he's one of the best around the globe, I think, this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a complete guy. That's why I get mad that he's forced to just do technical stuff when he goes everywhere else. Because I was like, this dude's unreal. He has great strikes. He's got athleticism. get the thing, you know, like
You got the magic.
he's got the magic. But what
Talk
a
about
year
heat.
for him. Talk about heat. How's it going? All right, we can
Let's
move
move
on.
on
That
from
was
Big
good.
Hatchie. We'll start off from the top of the card as well. And then
I didn't
we'll
watch the first match.
Okay, well, the first match was Futuro. Hombre Bala Jr. and Max Star defeated Los Depredadores, Magia Blanca, Magnus, and Ruggiero. I thought this was a fine match. I think I went 2 stars.
My favorite running joke when it comes to Ryan watching CMLL is he just like randomly tells me, I don't like Los Depredadores. I'm like,
I don't
all right,
care.
man. Like I don't think I've ever watched. I think I've watched like one match from them. So sure.
Look, if I had to, if I if I had to care about this team, then why does Ruggiero not have a cage match profile? You know, if he was an important wrestler, he would have a cage match profile. That's all I'm saying. This guy doesn't have one. He's had, I don't know, 1 billion matches in CMLL this year. He's all over the place in all these matches, and he doesn't have a cage match. What are we doing here? But
whoa, take it easy.
yeah, I didn't care.
Up.
I thought it was kind of boring. And you know, I think my Magnus and Ruggiero and Magia Blanca, not disdain, but bias, lack of bias. What's the opposite of bias? Unfavorable to these guys. So who knows? Unbiased. But yeah, it wasn't too.
It was right there. You just had to add 2 letters.
Second match, best 2 out of 3 falls, 6-man tag match. Angel de Oro, Niebla Roja, and Soberano Jr. defeated the team of Neon Star Jr. and Templario. What do you think of this match, Scotty? You said you watched it.
It was fun. It was fun. You know,
good time. Good time.
I think Templario and Soberano Jr. should be doing way more than
agreed.
A random trios. Templario was in the main event last year. And now he's just in this random match. And I understand he didn't need to be in the main event this year because, you know, bigger things and whatnot. But I watched him and Soberano Jr., who had a lightning match last week, which was really solid. And I'm like, these guys should be higher up the card.
Soberano Jr. like died in that lightning match, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He was, yeah. I mean, clearly he was fine, but yeah. he gets hurt like at the end of a lot of his matches. But I don't know if it's ever real because he just wrestles like the next day every single time.
Part of the sale.
Yeah. But I really like those 2, especially. Neon's gonna be a big star. They're just not putting him at that level yet, which is fine.
He's still young. You know, he's
actually older than Mascara Dorada. I just learned.
Oh, 25 years old. Mascara Dorada 22. Jesus Christ. But yeah,
Dorada's obviously their guy. He's the heir apparent to Mystico. So I get that. But I do think Neon's a special guy too. So
yeah, a pretty good match. I do think a little bit too long. It's 17 minutes and 11 seconds for semi.
Yeah, I was watching this. I was like, this show might never end.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy. But yeah, you know, fun stuff. The Copa Independencia final match is for that Independence Cup. Titan defeats Mascara Dorada 14 minutes and 40 seconds. Again, I thought this was a pretty good match. I didn't like this as much as some of their previous outings, but I did think it was really well done. I think Titan did a good job of. I think it was Titan out wrestling a little bit of Dorada, like escaping and doing a good job of getting out of his move sets. So that was nice, but a pretty good match, I thought.
This was my second favorite match of the show, which says more about the rest of the card, I think, than anything else. Because like this wasn't there. This wasn't Titan and Dorada, I think, at their best, but they were still very good because I think it would take a lot for these 2 not to be good. And I think it's interesting seeing Titan get the big win because Titan, I feel like, is never doing any big CMLL shows because, you know, he's back and forth between here and Japan. But this was a good match to put on this card. It was your big highlight match, essentially, in terms of just 2 guys going out there and delivering a good match. I'm still a little bit shocked at Dorada's placement this year because it's been all about him this year in CMLL besides Mystico. But you know, it's fine. They gave him a big highlight match. He's won every other like tournament and everything, so losing this is not that big of a deal for him. And I love Teton, so I'm happy when Teton gets a nice accolade here and there.
Next up, CMLL World Women's Title Match. Zeuxis defeats Willow Nightingale to take back the CMLL World Women's Title. I thought this match was fine. There was something.
A lot of miscommunication.
Yeah. I don't know what it was specifically, but these two could not really get on the same page. And
Well,
you know,
I'm watching. Yeah,
they're both still good workers, so they're able to get something out of it. There was a
Yeah.
lot of like,
The
I do this
finish.
move, and then you do the same exact move and sequence of moves. I was like, all right,
Yeah, it was clunky. It was
yeah,
clunky. I miss Stephanie Vaquer.
we all do.
I miss Stephanie Vaquer. Like I don't even like just put her on WWE already. Like at this point, I just miss seeing her wrestle. Zeuxis is winning this because the obviously the plan is to crown La Catalina eventually,
And they need a
Zeuxis.
Rudo.
Yeah. So that was the whole direction of this match. So it was fine for what it was, but
It's a means to the end, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Willow held it for a little bit. Her and Chris Statlander had that great match that wasn't for the CMLL title, and yeah, that's it.
Best to it, which is also moving forward. You know, talking about the Willow stuff. You know, coming out of All Out. And I talked about how I would love to put Willow in some sort of title picture. Now she doesn't have a title, which is interesting. But maybe that bodes well for her to do something moving forward in terms of a title scene. We will see.
Hey, I want to give you a great trivia question.
Okay.
Do you know which current top Joshi has held the CMLL Women's World Women's title? Sorry.
I would guess Mayu would probably have held it at some point.
No, Bull Nakara, by the way, the original champion. Which is a fun little fact. No, Shuri held it actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
Back in 2014, 2015, as part of Reina and CMLL, she lost it to Marcella.
Was it any good matches in that reign?
She defended. Well, I don't know. Reina's like barely aired, so I couldn't even tell you based on anything. But you know, I would be interested to see the match with Marcella where she dropped it in Arena Mexico. I think that's interesting. But I just wanted to give that little fun fact. Anyways, continue on.
Best 2 out of 3 falls, 6-man tag team match. Atlantis Jr., Ultimo Guerrero, and Volador Jr. defeat the team of Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, Satoshi Kojima. I would like to see more Rudo Orange Cassidy. I don't know how we can achieve this, but there was an energy about him as a Rudo that I greatly enjoyed. It almost made the it made the laziness come off disrespectful. Obviously, in Orange Cassidy, AEW has backtracked a lot of his sort of quote unquote lazy wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Sloth-like wrestling style. In terms of, you know, he sort of doing less and less of that and more, you know, actual wrestling. So it made, when he did do some of that sloth style, more effective as a Rudo, because like I said, it came off disrespectful. Kojima, Rocky doing the chops on Ultimo Guerrero, and then Orange comes in and does a really lazy chop on Ultimo Guerrero. Guerrero just telling it like, what the fuck was that? And then gets chopped again. I thought was like, that was the moment I was like, I want more of that Orange Cassidy. But other than that, I thought the match was pretty good. Atlantis Jr., of course, gets booed again in Arena Mexico. Volador Jr. I thought was solid here. Rocky Romero, everyone, I thought it was a very solid match overall.
Yeah, it was solid. Orange Cassidy as a Rudo was more interesting to me than Orange Cassidy past 3 years for the most part. 3, 2. We'll do 2. 3 seems a little extreme. Yeah, no, that was interesting to me. I was like, you know, this could work in a very interesting way if they ever want to go down that path. This was a weird like match of people. That was my big takeaway. I was like, this is
it's it's Mexico versus the international. It's all of the conglomeration of international companies we worked with. New Japan, AEW,
which, by the way,
MLW.
Which, by the way, makes the ending angle that much more stupid. Because Cassidy's not the babyface here. On this show, he literally wasn't a
babyface in a backstage promo where he gets beat up by Jericho. He plays Rudo as the international guy here in this 6-man match, and then he makes the babyface save at the very end, helping to save Mystico.
Ass. Fed up. Had enough. 2 packs of ass.
The Jericho Vortex has ruined CMLL's anniversary show officially.
Well, no, the mask match made up for everything.
Sure.
But the Noche de Campeones is coming up, which is always a good show.
Mm-hmm. When is that? When is that date for that
I think
show?
it's next week.
Oh, I have champions
week.
indeed. Oh, because they were still doing the poll, right? Did they officially? I know they were going to end the poll, and then they decided not to end the poll for whatever reason.
Yeah, they haven't announced it yet, but Noche de Campeones last year, if I remember correctly, was awesome. Let me take a double check ski here. We had Teton versus Dorado in the main event of that.
Yes.
Funny enough, that match was great. If I remember correctly, yeah, it was great. 8.8 on cage match. That's always fun.
September
that's
27th.
when Stephanie Vaquero. 27th, so 2 weeks. Yeah. Stephanie Vaquero won the women's title on that show as well.
I'm looking at the poll now. I'm gonna cast. Let's cast our votes for this poll. By the way, I'm looking at the CMLL poll right now. All right, ready?
Okay. All right.
We have Atlantis Jr. defending his title. The options are Soberano Jr., Akuma, and Barbaro Cavanario.
I'm picking Soberano.
I'm also picking Soberano Jr., and he is in the lead with 67.3% of the vote. So it's probably going to be Soberano.
As much as they want to push him down the card, he is so popular. They have no shot. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Templario defending his title against Dragon Rojo Jr.
Oh my God, he exists.
Volador Jr. And the accused spy of CMLL, Flip Gordon.
Oh well, obviously I'm gonna pick Volador Jr. out of all of them.
I really want to pick Flip Gordon. I just think that's fun.
Who's winning that vote?
Currently it is Volador Jr. is winning 51.83%, then Dragon Rojo, then Flip.
Viva Mexico! All right,
Soberano Jr., then it was Akuma, and then Cavanario. 13%. Jesus Christ, my guy.
I'm not a big Volador guy. However, him and Templario can have a great match.
Futuro defending his title. This is going to be a tough one because it's a bunch of people I don't know. Calavera Jr. won.
Tough. Don't know who that is.
Rayo Metallico.
Tough.
Or Electrico.
We're going with him.
Going off Electrico. Yeah, I don't know who any of these people guys are, but I'm sure it'll be a good match. Rayo Metallico gets the lead, 43.62. Then Calavera Jr. won, and then Electrico.
Hilarious that they put some of these up to a vote. Like, who cares?
Reina Isis?
Yeah. Yep.
Defending his title against Hera, Sanely, or Princessa Sugit. Former Mae Young Classic wrestler.
Oh, great. Hera. I feel like I've seen Hera wrestle.
I feel like I also have seen Hera. I think she teams up with like Olympia or something.
Maybe.
Sanely, 45.85% is in the lead. Then Princessa, then Hera. This one, Magnus and Ruggiero, Ryan's favorite wrestlers of all time, defending their titles against the Vianos. Hijo de Viano 3 and Viano 3 Jr.
They got to be winning, right?
Defunto and Zenduken Jr. or Dark Panther and Hijo del Blue Panther.
The Vianos have to be winning.
I'm going all the way on Vianos. They are totally winning 56.57%.
Based off of recent events, I figured they'd be winning by a lot.
Following that, Defunto and Zandokan, and then the Panthers. We've got so many more here. Oh, we only got 2 more. We'll do this one next. Super quick. The Minis, Ultimo Dragoncito. Great episode of Mascara Madness about Ultimo Dragoncito defending his title against Angelito, the guy that took the title from took the mask from Pequeño Olímpico. Piracito or Mercurio. Any thoughts? And Helihito,
I have no thoughts.
I'm gonna go Pierrotito. And he is in the lead. Pierrotito is winning with 43.38%. And finally, trios action: Mascara Dorada, Neon, and Star Jr. defending their titles
baby.
against Los Guerreros Laguneros. This is Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and a third guy. I don't know who that is.
That's House Guerrero.
Yes.
Who's the third guy?
I don't know who this third guy is. He's
Is it
in a
Gran
mask.
Guerrero?
It might be Gran Guerrero. He was in
Yeah. You know what's the real? No, hold on for a second. I was catching up on CMLL this week. Do you know what match would move mountains?
Who is that?
Gran Guerrero versus the Beast of Mortos. You don't understand. The Gran Guerrero, okay? My world champion. Ryan, look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Look at me.
I'm trying to look up who this is. It is definitely
Gran Guerrero.
Yes, it is definitely. I can confirm it's Gran Guerrero.
I know it's Gran Guerrero. He's a king. Respect Gran Guerrero. I'm picking House Guerrero, baby.
The other people here are Los Infernales, with people. I don't know who these people are. Santanico, Mephisto, and Euphoria, maybe? No, not. Oh, yeah, I guess it could be Euphoria. It's probably Euphoria with a mask on still. And then Atlantis, Octagon, and Blue Panther. The olds.
Fuck. Shit. The olds might win. But we're raising the roof.
We're raising the roof over here. The winners of this poll so far is... Oh,
the old guys. Is it the old
guys?
No,
Los Infernales, 50.06%. Old guys are at 30. The losers of this poll are the Guerreros.
People don't respect House Guerrero. I don't stand for that. I don't stand for that. Gran Guerrero, my world champion. What does Bryan Danielson have that Gran Guerrero doesn't?
A mask. A better part-time schedule.
Guerrero has the best part-time schedule. That guy
never
shows up to anything. He's great. This dude is a brick house of a man. He is my world champion, and I will not stand for this disrespect in this poll.
Let's move on. Stardom Namba Grand Fight took place also this weekend. We'll start off with a question in the chat. The question is from Carl Carpenter. How many people do you think will leave Stardom for Marigold when their deals are up, Scotty?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean,
at least one. Changes. I can tell you one that's definitely leaving.
It changes in my head. I think not too many. It could go from anywhere from 1 to like, I don't know, 5 max. I just don't like. There's a lot of money that Bushiroad has that they're, and I don't think Marigold's going to want everybody either. They have made their own roster. They're building.
They also have their own budget,
Own budget. They're building their own young talent. Now, if people want to go, I don't see Rossi saying no, because that's kind of how people have signed with him in the past. Like, if they want to go there, he welcomes them. But I'd say one is 5.
I think it's definitely Mayu. I'm saying that as someone that doesn't know anything. 100% Mayu. Julia's if we're talking about budget, Julia's leaving has over the budget for Mayu Itani to go.
Yeah, her money's freed up. No, I think 1 to 5 people.
If you had to put a guess on who another person would be?
Someone connected to Stars, probably.
Interesting.
Like an Ida or something.
Interesting. That'd
why?
Be great. I would love Sai.
I won't name anyone else because everything else is just like pure speculation.
I asked that because I know that you probably have heard rumors, so I'm trying to sneak information out of you.
Well, so much has changed over. Like, there's still so much time. It's why you like when everything happened and like certain people just couldn't leave. It's like, well, now we have to wait. Like, so now anything can change. Anyone that wanted to leave, things could have changed. There was more people that wanted to leave, but it's not possible. Bushiroad made sure of it. So,
and who knows? Maybe there are people that didn't want to leave and now they've changed their mind.
Right? Exactly. You watch who's pushed. You're watching who is getting pushed and who they're making efforts to try and make happy. you can figure it out sometimes.
Yeah. Stardom Namba Grand Fight, one of the best names in all of pro wrestling, had a show here, Osaka, Japan. It looks like the reported attendance is 1,400 here.
Not great.
I saw the top 3 matches, and we'll start off with the main event. A main event that, look, a pretty good main event in terms of wrestling. Pretty good, right?
No.
What? Tam should have won the 5-star and that match here, and then maybe Micah and Tam on a later date on a later show.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You mean to tell me that going 0-6 in the 5-star, then winning the world title, and then beating the undefeated 5-star winner is not perfect booking? Is that what you're telling me?
Sloppy shop.
Is that what you're telling me? Right?
Look, it's horrendous booking. I'm trying to think of look, what is even the logic behind that booking? That
there isn't any.
The only logic I can come down to is Micah is a great tournament wrestler and Tam is a bad tournament wrestler. But
yeah, but if you ask me who had the better tournament, it would be Tam.
Yeah.
Like out of I watched quality? Both of their out of match quality. Obviously not records.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. The logic in booking in terms of the kayfabe is only Tam is horrendous in tournaments and Micah is great at them.
Yeah, but Tam's been to a final, so it's not even like she's that bad.
Well, that's the other problem, is that I feel like we have to ignore history.
I know, which is stupid.
Which the only place that's going to maintain the history of Stardom at this point is going to be Stardom Road, only on Count Out Podcast Network.
I saw a lot of tweets today. I saw some people be like, there was Stardom show with 2 really good title matches this week, and I don't see any tweets. I saw a few tweets about them. I saw one no one's rating it on Cage Match anymore, and I was like, yeah, that's what happens when you do all the shit you did the past couple months. As much as people want to call my name out specifically and say I'm wrong,
the Joshi splain Scotty Edwards over here.
I told you so. There's not a lot to grasp onto. There's just not a lot to grasp onto, and it's why
change the name of this company to Foreigner because they're as cold as ice.
Nice. I think the funny thing for me as someone who obviously follows, it's I see some people say this is better booking than the past.
I don't know how you can look at the little Stardom.
I'm if we're
booking, that's insane to me.
I'm if we're only comparing to last year where everything was a mess because you had 75 pay-per-views a year. You had the guy that got fired, not Rossi, the other guy that was really messing with things. That's why everything was it was. And injuries everywhere. I was yeah, this year in
that'd be telling me that the N1 this year was greatly booked. It's no, it wasn't. It's because a bunch of people got injured.
Right. It's there's good and bad to some of the stuff that they're doing now. I think if you watch a New Blood show or something, it's the Rena story and her dominance and whatever. That's a fun told story. But when the top is how it is, and it's the Natsuko hates thing that no one liked, to Tam going 0-6 and then becoming world champion, and you got Tam going out of her way to defend the company and say, oh, this was a good thing. It's no, it wasn't, and it's okay that it's not. It's hard to back them. And it's funny that this is all happening because Walker Stewart announced that he'll be doing some English commentary for them finally, and it's and they said based on pay-per-view buys, and I was well, I like Walker a lot. I think he does a good job, and I'm looking forward to him doing it. But I was not a little late.
Yeah,
a little late.
Yeah, I would love, I would love if Walker Stewart should just message Scotty and be hey, can you be my Chris Samsa? But we all know it's probably not going to be Scotty. It's going to be probably some other English speaker that's moved into the company recently that will help out this Walker Stewart guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking. But the main event was really well done. Like I think
Yeah.
I saw your tweet where you said something along the lines of like Tam has been putting in a good amount of effort and work lately.
Yeah.
And that
This
is
has been her most consistent year in ring in like forever.
yeah, and that is something that as a person that is not extremely high on Tam Nakano that I appreciate.
That doesn't ride the Tam road.
No, I am not on the Tam road at all. But you know, it was good effort here. I thought Michael was really good here. I thought maybe a little bit too long, but ultimately it was fine.
Yeah. My friend Dylan made a great joke. He's like, I've never been on the Tam road before, but I was like, you know what? Her winning the 5-star makes sense. I get on the Tam road and they hurt me desperately. They say 0-6. I was like, well, I'm never doing that again. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good main event. I don't think it was anything close to the Wonder match. But that's how I feel about Hazuki. But it was a good main event. And once upon a time when Stardom was hot, you'd be hearing a lot more probably about these 1-2 punch of matches.
Yeah. I also think if the booking made sense. People, it would this like honestly, it's like the booking of how this match goes down in terms of just Tam winning and all that, like how we got here and how this match happened ends up being a good match, but it's just like it was so dumb how we got here that it's like it's
I like hearing your side of things because people think I've been too harsh, and I'm like, I try to be positive, trust me, but like when the booking's like it is, I can't.
When the booking, look, I think a thing that needs to happen when you have these sort of tournaments, round robin tournaments, otherwise, you need to establish storylines moving forward, right? And the storyline that was established in terms of the world title scene has now been basically completely reset.
Yeah.
Right? We're back to square one.
Yeah.
And it's like it makes the 5-star to me null and void. Like,
that's how I felt.
You spent weeks covering this shit, Scotty. And after seeing this match, it makes me frustrated that you put so much time and effort and great time and effort, great audio reviews on your YouTube channel discussing the Stardom 5-star. But also, I see a result like this and I say, Scotty, you wasted your goddamn time.
I know. No, when Micah won, I said I just feel like nothing moved forward because it's like, what was the point of having her lose the world title then to win this and then do the match 2 weeks later, which was hilarious because
and then that's the Tam wins and it's like, oh,
I learned that midway through at the end of my review. I was like, it'll be cool when we get to Queendom because I do think Tam versus Micah is the biggest match. And then I went on the website, I read something, I was like, it's in 2 weeks. Never mind. Screw all this. I was like, never mind. Whatever. No. In all seriousness, though, I think the worst part for me is while I hated the hate turn and all that, Tora should have the main story moving forward was Tora being champion and having they were supposed to be this unstoppable heel group, except the 0-6 loser of the tournament beat her in match 1.
Yeah.
So instantly made all that useless to me, right? Whatever. I'm very over it. I know they're gonna keep putting Tam over and over and over and over, and that's what I always expected. I told them to do that main event at All-Star Grand Queendom. Instead, they said let's do 2 out of 3 falls between Micah and Moment. I was like, whatever, go nuts, do whatever you want. That show was saved by the IWGP Women's Champion and the Marigold World Champion. So take it for what you will.
Semi-main event, great match here. Wonder Stardom title match. Natsupoi retains her title against Suzuki. Can we do something with Suzuki? Like, I mean, one of the best Joshis today.
One of the best wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like I have a
a big Hetchy, big Tom-ish vibe of Hazuki, where it's just like, can we do something? Can we do something with Hazuki? What are we doing?
And I tweeted this when the match was over. Hazuki deserves the world, and she has for a long time. I said this on something yesterday. And because I was talking with someone and they kind of pointed out to me, I was like, oh, well, I'm definitely running with that. Hazuki is the greatest Wonder of Stardom title match wrestler of all time. She's never won the belt, but she's the greatest wrestler of that title ever, because every single match she has means something. And every time she goes for that title, it's great.
She's
It's
not
just
really
what
like
she does.
she's not really a gatekeeper per se, but she's like an establisher. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
helps
and she
establish the legitimacy of the champion.
always makes me believe in her matches. She had zero shot at winning this match. Yet I'm watching, I'm like, they should do the change.
Every time I see her wrestle, it's like, why aren't we doing more Hazuki?
Like, she's the
I want to
wrestler
see
that
Hazuki walk out of this company and wrestle Suri. That's what
yeah,
I see.
yeah. Hazuki versus Sari is like, it's very high up there. Let's just say.
Someone will die in that match, Scotty.
Yeah. I feel like the only hope I have for that is Sariism right now. Well, it obviously is the only hope I have for that, because Sari is walking into Stardom right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll take that if we can book that, but that's not until January, so I don't really know. But Hazuki, incredible performance, great first defense for Natsupoi. I think it's exactly what you wanted after a rocky tournament. Even though she had, some really good matches towards the end, Natsupoi was trying some new things, which is fine. If you're a champion, you can do that in tournaments, I think, even if they don't work. And she got away from all that. This was Natsupoi and Hazuki going out there and tearing it down, having the best match of the show. So good for them. Good for Hazuki. Now Tekla's challenging, and I don't want to talk about it. So
yeah, Tekla came out and challenged Natsupoi after this. I didn't say this, but Tamakano, I believe, threw out the challenge to Suzu Suzuki as well after their
that match, man, that one hurts, because Suzuki is not who she was a year ago. And a year ago, she was going to be world champion, and now she's definitely not. It sucks.
Against Tam as well.
Yeah. It hurt me. It hurt me a lot, because like, what could have been?
And then Tekla Natsupoi. I mean, I'm interested in that match. I'm for sure.
There's a lot of history there. So.
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna get the best Tekla match right now, probably that. But she's wearing War Dog stuff, and I was like, ugh. That connection. Ugh. Like, you're killing me. You're killing me. I knew you were full War Dog, but you didn't have to confirm it.
Mayu Iwatani and Hanan defeat Azumi and Mio Masaki. Pretty good match.
Yeah, fun tag match. Obviously, everything's about the post match here, which was, of course, Toni Storm popping up on a video. Real jump scare for me personally, and challenging Mayu Iwatani to an IWGP Women's Title match. I was this close. I was this close for Mayu never having to do anything with AEW, anything, but couldn't be perfect. I think there's a serious chance Toni Storm wins. Wrestle Dynasty.
What did they say when the match is?
Yeah, October 5th in Nagoya. Same place that Mayu got injured in their World of Stardom title match, and Toni Storm had to become world champion because of it.
So the history is there. Yeah, I mean, look, if Mayu is already 1 foot out the door, like I keep saying, I think it's a really good chance that Toni Storm wins it. Especially if they don't want to do Toni Mercedes yet, or they don't want to run back Mariah May yet, obviously.
Sure.
Then this is a good way to stall.
Yeah, I saw Toni show up, and I said to myself, one, I don't see her Toni Storm getting just fed to lose. That would be shocking. But two, with Wrestle Dynasty as well, you have to consider a lot of things. One, Toni Storm kind of playing the Moxley role.
Yep.
For that, though, I don't see Mayu coming back around to getting the belt. I think that is definitely in play, and then you can have Toni lose to a Azumi or whoever, right? You want, because the one problem I have with this is Mayu should be putting over someone new. If I'm Stardom, I'm having her establish someone like a Starlight Kid or an Azumi with a big win, and you can still do that if she loses the title, because she's just losing to Toni Storm, but it would mean more if you're getting a title. The other part of this is, if Mayu's indeed leaving, there's little chance I see them wanting her to go into the Tokyo Dome as champion.
Exactly.
So Tony makes sense. And it's a fine person for Mayu to lose to. Do I like it? No. Do I understand it? Yes. And then whoever it's a big match. In terms of
History.
just history, and obviously Tony's one of the biggest AEW stars, so good to see her return to Stardom. I will say though, the first thing that popped in my head was Jamie Hayter busy?
Yes, you against Saraya.
I know. Tony Storm's off TV, so actually, yes, Jamie is busy compared to Tony, but it's interesting. I get it, and we'll see where it goes. But the Wrestle Dynasty thing instantly jumped into my head. I was like, that wouldn't be surprising. And, Tony fits the history, right? You got Kyrie, Mercedes Moné, Mayu Iwatani. Tony Storm would definitely fit what they're going for with that belt.
And honestly, you could have Mayu on that show. I would also be not shocked in any capacity if Mayu does not appear on that show at all.
If she's on that show, I don't see it happening in a big title match.
No, because you have to think, if we're talking title matches, it's definitely Mercedes Moné and/or the New Japan Strong title. It's the IWGP Women's, especially if it's on Tony. And then maybe the AEW Women's World, right?
Yeah. Putting the belt on
We're not even counting, by the way. Sorry, we're not even counting Ring of Honor, CMLL.
Yeah, I think you're probably getting Mercedes one than the IWGP, truthfully. There's only so many matches you can do. So I get it. But I think Tony's more likely to be champion going into that show because it feels like a Japan moment to put over a Stardom talent in the end. While Mercedes
would be a person to do that.
While Mercedes probably beats a Stardom talent. Easy trade-off there. It just feels like the way that these things go. It's kind of how AEW books with other companies at this point. So I would get it. I would be upset, but I would get it.
Starlight Kid, I think, could also work in that spot as well. But also, Osmey does have her own history with Tony Storm. They wrestled for a title match, I think, or qualifier.
She was also next up for the title before Tony popped up on the screen. So it feels like if they want to wait that out. And Tony and historic crossover, I don't think would necessarily be a need, but it would be a big thing, I guess, too.
And to all those worrying about Mayu showing up on AEW television, she would probably show up, if at all, on the build to this Nagoya match. I don't think at all for these Wrestle Dynasties in any capacity.
I would be genuinely shocked, only because it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, exactly.
So
maybe for like a tag match sort of thing, but this entire.
But Tony's not even on AEW TV right now,
exactly.
So
that's
probably wouldn't happen at all.
This is all a stall. I think it's just Tony's in the Eastern world today with Australia, and that's all the thing. It also makes sense. It might make sense for Tony to even retain the title at Wrestle Dynasty and then defend the title at the Australia show for AEW in February, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Someone asked Mayu about wrestling AEW. She's like, I don't know anyone besides Mariah. I was like, that was an answer. That was definitely an answer. I don't see it happening just because Tony's off TV. This is a thing for her to do while it works out for her. Stardom too. Yeah. Bringing Tony Storm in is different from bringing like Willow in or something. Tony Storm's got the history that will make people care. So
I didn't see any of these other matches, so I'm going to give them to you real quickly, Scotty. Suzu Suzuki defeats Tomoaki Inaba. This definitely feels like just Suzu getting the win to set up the World Title Challenge later.
Yeah, give me a little hope after a rough tournament for Suzu that she's slowly getting back to where she was, which I expected. She was injured before the tournament, but this was a good match. Naba's great, so I really do love seeing her in big matches.
Momo Watanabe, Tekla, and Konami defeat Shuri, Saki Kashima, and Lady C. I'm going to guess Tekla got the pinfall here.
That's a good question. I don't remember. Saki Kashima did get pinned, though. And then Shuri challenged them to a tag title match, which was weird because I was like, I feel like they would have won if we were doing that. Yeah, I don't I plead the fifth.
It's fine. Moving on.
There's 2 hate tags on here, man.
Moving on, Starlight Kid and Meisara and Kohaku defeat Koguma, Saida, and Momokogo.
Nice tag match.
Who the heck is
There's
Kohaku?
too many. Kohaku's from Pro Wrestling Wave, originally from Marvelous. Her and Sarah came up together through the Marvelous system. So let's just say Chigutsu Nagayo is not going to be a big fan of Stardom after this. Which is fine. She's friends with Rossi, so I didn't think she would be anyways.
Yeah. Sayuri Anu, Yuna Mizumura, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurara defeat Hate, Natsuko Tora, Rina Raka, and Azusa Naba.
This was the best undercard match.
Really? Shock!
Yeah.
I hate multi-man with
well, the young, as I call them, the young haters, Rina, Ruaka, and Azusa are more interesting than at least Rina and Azusa. Ruaka can be in and out for the most part, but like those two are more interesting than the majority of Hate for me. Mm-hmm. So they were good, and they were actually building the Aya Sakura Rina match, which I was impressed by. So yeah, it was pretty good. You don't need to go out of your way to see it, but out of all the undercard tags, this was the best one.
And then we had some pre-show stuff. Zaina defeated Rion. Saya Kamatani defeated Mina Shirakawa.
That was not a pre-show thing.
Oh, Wikipedia reads these as all pre-shows.
Yeah, no, that it aired live free on YouTube so that people could see Mina.
But isn't that what they do for the pre-shows? Is all the
just technically the Rion Zeta match is the only pre-show match. Like that was the match that happened before the show. Now they started airing the first match live, so people would start to buy the pay-per-view.
Would you consider the buy-in?
Yeah, sure. Like they did it with a lot of Anna Jay matches in the 5-star.
Yeah,
which is smart. Let's just say Saya Kamatani versus Mina Shirakawa in 2024, compared to what had happened at All-Star Grand Kingdom in 2023, is not the same.
Shocker.
I know.
And then the other match was Waka Tsukiyama and Hanako defeat Hina and Rana Yagami.
I said 3 times during that match, why is this happening on a pay-per-view?
But yeah, 1400 in Osaka. Not great. Not great for Stardom so far. But,
no.
I gotta update that Stardom thing.
They don't do great in the Edion Osaka arena. Also, I know this is a usual Stardom problem, but I wanted to tell the Osaka crowd there was a show going on because I don't think they knew, and they were there in attendance.
I
presume they were really quiet.
This is Edion Arena 1, right?
Yes, number 1.
Just for reference. They
did worse than the bad Noah show.
Noah's Night 9, which was at the same time pretty much as not an earthquake. What was it? A typhoon?
Typhoon.
Which greatly hurt the attendance. They got 1,500 in for that Noah show versus Stardom having 1,400 and not having to fight against a typhoon. So
oof, baboof.
Yeah, that's a oof baboof in my playbook, folks.
They get more people in Korakuen sometimes.
Yeah, cold as ice for sure. Doing worse than a Noah typhoon show. Anyways, let's close out of stuff here. The only thing we had to talk about here, but we can skip this if you like, was I was going to talk about the Road to Destruction Tour main events. Let me read these out real quickly, and then we can do some quick thoughts before we go. They've had, I think, 5. I guess if you want to count the Shingo one as well as part of that Road to Destruction Tour. And they've been varying degrees of really good to great, I believe. We had the Shingo debut main event with Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Yamada defeating Hiromu, Yoda, Tsuji, and Naito. You had Jeff Cobb defeating Yoda Tsuji for the New Japan World TV title. Not really defeat, more of a time runs out, I should say. Hanare defeats Hiromu Takahashi in a great match in Korakuen Hall for the Never Openweight title match. Doki defeats Taiji Ishimori to retain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. And then I think it was yesterday morning was a random ass show in a random ass town. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Oleg Boltin, Toru Yano defeat Dick Togo, Evil, and Yujiro Takahashi to retain their Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles. I don't know how many of you've seen here, Scotty, but the Hiromu Hanare one was definitely the best, outstanding, great. I really love Doki
Remember when I
as
told
well.
you? No, hold on. You didn't want to watch that last week, and I said, I don't know, man. Hiromu in the Never division could be good.
I'm shocked that I did say that because I forgot how great Hanare has been as of late.
I was I was a little shocked too, but you were very like,
I was very anti-Hiromu.
You're like, Hiromu. I was like, well, Hiromu out of the junior division sounds better, more exciting than him in it right now.
Yeah, well, the junior,
And by the sounds of the praise for this match, says yes.
Partly because the junior division sucks for the most part. It's
respect our champion.
I mean, you know, I'm a Doki fan. You know that. I'm just saying.
I'll put you in the Doki Choki if you ever say that again.
That's fair enough. But I did love that match as well. Doki and Ishimori. I thought that was a really good match as well. Do you have any quick thoughts on any of these sort of matches? No title changes. Bunch of title matches, no changes.
I watched the Suji Jeff Cobb one.
Mm-hmm.
That was okay.
What did you not like about it? I thought it was really good.
It was 15 minutes.
Well, it was a time limit draw, so
I know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Suji.
Ooh, interesting.
Oiwa's coming back. No one else matters now. The king is coming. You know, like Shota, get out of here. Ren Narita, get out of here. Yoda Tsuji, you're next, buddy. Yu Uemura, I kind of miss you.
He's on pause. He's suspended from animation.
He can't get kicked out. But Oiwa, that's the guy, you know? That's the guy.
He had his leaving match, retirement match, his Noah retirement match.
His retirement.
This morning or yesterday morning, I believe, against Kaito. And and at the same time,
that was great.
I believe TMDK is teasing a new member as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Which, kind of hurts me because, if they were psychos, which they're not, but if they were psychos, I'd push them right into that Wrestle Kingdom main event. Fuck everything else. Who gives a shit? Because like at this point, it's like, what are you gonna do? Zach versus Suji again? Ooh, don't do Shota and Zach. I'll kill someone. Don't do that.
No,
that would be really bad.
Definitely going to be. I'm going to call it now. David Finlay versus Rohei Oiwa.
That'd be sick. That would actually be great. I said Shingo beats Inari and they do Shingo and Oiwa. So,
I mean, if anything, I would do Tsuji and Hanare. Honestly, that feels like a better never match.
Yeah, whatever. As long as Oiwa has a spot, I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird because Dynasty's the day after, so I'm like, how are we booking this show?
No, I don't know. I feel
like you kind of keep AEW out of it, but like at the same time, I don't think you can because like they give you a big special match. But like, what's the big special match this year? Naito versus someone? Does that move you? No.
Well, like I've also talked about, like we talked about that in terms of like
Naito versus Takeshita. There you go.
We talked about when like Zack Sabre Jr. won the G1, where it's like it feels like to me, I would argue that the biggest match they could do is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson somehow. But they potentially are going to both be world champions, which would be cool. 2 world champions, non-title match, maybe main event to Dynasty. That could be fun. And maybe Zack retains the title against Naito.
After this week, I think Zack versus Hechi, number 3 or whatever.
Or you can do Okada. Just bring in Okada again.
I wonder if they do bring in Okada for Wrestle Kingdom, and maybe just put him whatever for Dynasty. I don't know. They could set up a match for Dynasty, do a preview tag on Kingdom too. Yeah,
and do a different main event in terms of not to the world title.
I could see. I don't know what the fuck Dynasty is going to be. Like that could be Okada versus anyone in that main event, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye.
Okada versus David Finlay.
It'd be good. It would be a silly main event, but it'd be good.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
My interest in Kazuchika Okada these days, not high, but when I think about him going back to Japan, it's a lot more like, ooh, that's more exciting to me.
I don't. But you also know he's going to be the same character.
Yeah, but the crowd will go crazy for him.
Mhm.
So
Do you think
I don't
he'll
really
force
care for
everyone to
him.
wear? Do you think he'll force when he wrestles the Wrestle Kingdom this year? Do you think he'll or next year? Do you think he'll force everyone to wear specific colors again?
Yes.
The goat, the goat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We hope you all appreciated and enjoyed this episode. Scotty, where can people find you? Give us some plugs. What was your
Yep.
match of the week that we did not talk about?
Yeah, you can find me at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter. You can check out youtube.com/at Scott E Wrestling to check out my Dreamstar Grand Prix review series. We got day 3 up late last night. We'll get day 4 up tomorrow. Big time Korakuen Hall show, the best show of the tournament. You got Sari versus Miku Aono, Mirai versus Utami Hayashishita. Gonna be great. Looking forward to that. So big time show. You want to listen to that review series. Stardom Road's back this Tuesday. We
Yep.
ranked every performance of the 5-star in a tier list, so a little visual
Ooh.
aspect for it. I don't
Make sure you
know.
subscribe to the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
of course, because then you can be able to see all that visual stuff.
Admittedly, I don't know what the future for Stardom Road holds. I'll talk to Ryan about that after.
Oh, interesting.
But that is an episode. Me and Trent had a good time doing it, so enjoy it. My match of the week. It's a great question. Shit. 3 matches that I had ready, raring to go. We already talked about. Oh boy. I didn't watch much this week. Well, I did watch much, just nothing stood out, I guess.
Is the tag team gauntlet from AEW. That's mine. That's the week.
Yeesh. Did I watch any old matches?
Do you watch anything from 1958?
You and I both know that would never happen.
You're missing out.
Yeah.
There's great stuff back there.
So I hear. You told me that, and I listen. I believe you. I don't want to. Archive. Let me go in my archive real quick. What did I watch recently?
I do want to shout out. I want to scout. It should. Can you at some point? How much do I have to pay you to change your Twitter handle from Scott E, the letter E, to Scotty, SCOTTY?
Oh, that's taken.
Oh, really, Scotty Edwards?
Yeah. I think that's originally what I was gonna have, like
That's
years ago, and it was gone. I was like, oh wait a minute, I can just do E because that's my my match of the week. And
you go by Scott everywhere else, and the real Ring Post Radio fans call you Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been called both through my life. It's
Sure.
just I don't care. Like you kind of have to call, like it's part of my name. Do whatever you want.
Did you consciously make a decision to be like, oh, more professional Scott, that sort of thing, or?
Yeah, I did. Oh no, like I've been called that. I think I get called Scotty, more in like a work setting than I do in like my actual life. I just get called Scott, which is boring.
And that's not what this show is. The show is exciting. Yeah. Like Scotty.
I sent Ryan a comment from someone. He was like, "Yeah, you're damn right." That was the first thing he said. Just because someone called me that, I was like, "All right."
You said a comment from somebody.
I mean, you even have it on my. You've had it on my screen forever. Like it just says that. I realized that.
I didn't even ask you.
No. I still need my match of the week, don't I?
Yeah.
John Cena versus Umaga. Royal Rumble 2007.
All right. Yeah, baby.
Real Graps.
What'd you think of it?
Oh, it's great. Umaga was awesome. Umaga was like the perfect
too.
One. Yeah. Cena was a mess.
Umaga
was a great monster.
Was like a constant super bloody mess in a bunch of his
You know why I watched it, Ryan? Because Armando Estrada signed the Legends deal, baby. I was like, I'm proving a point to Ryan on this show.
The big star, Armando Estrada. Did he wrestle WWE CW?
Yeah, I think he was the GM for it too.
Yeah.
At one point. Armando Estrada, shout out to the big man getting the paycheck. I already told Ryan. I'm gonna tell the listeners right now. If they release an Armando Estrada t-shirt in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just with Umaga, I am buying it and wearing it on this show.
I can't wait.
My commitment to Armando Estrada.
Do you remember the great times where Colin Delaney would feud with Armando Estrada on WWE?
I do actually. I didn't watch ECW because I was young and didn't care about a show that started at 10 o'clock on Sci-Fi. However, I did remember that happening.
Mm-hmm. Big time feud.
Those are the peak days, baby. That's when ECW was at its hottest.
God. God.
I think it ended 1 year later.
My match of the week actually took place on Friday. It was the debut episode of SmackDown USA. It was the opener of that show. It was.
Oh, we got a super fan.
Yep. He's the real tribal chief. It was the Universal title match, steel cage match. Really great match. A little bit, not too long, but it went too long. They did a really great spot to close, and then they did a kick out. They should have ended it on Cody Rhodes diving off the top of the steel cage, but he did a diving crossbody to Solo, immediate pin, and Solo kicks out at 2. And I'm like, that's dumb. And then did a couple more, like 2 more minutes of random stuff into a crossroads for the finish. And I was like, it should have just been the crossbody. That was the height. That was the climactic finish of the match, and you messed it up. But
you were telling me you watched SmackDown?
I just watched that match in the main event with Andrade.
So just okay. Hear me out here.
Well, before you go on, I do want to say there was also an insane bump that Cody took. It was basically a superplex off the ropes, middle of the cage. Yeah. So high angle, he basically lands on his neck. It was insane.
Yeah. I think I just want to say we should give more credit to Cody because he got a good match out of Solo Sikoa.
Arguably great.
Solo Sikoa stinks. You know who doesn't stink? Jacob Fatu. That guy's great. And I have a great manager idea for him.
Does it start with an A and also an A? Interesting. Well, anyways, the only other things to plug to link here.
What's your match of the week?
I just said it. Cody Rhodes versus Sikoa. I literally am moving on. I literally just said it. You talked about it. You
Oh God! Get me out of here! Get me out of here!
Oh, my plugs were Ryan and Scotty on Twitter, Scotty Wrestling on Twitter, Count Out Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get it. Patreon.com/CountOutPod. The entire first season, 7 episodes of Masquerade Madness. I really love doing the series. It was a really great series. I did a lot of great research into Lucha Libre history. I talked about the split with AAA and CMLL, the split with UWA and CMLL. I talked about the history of many Estrellas in Mexico. So a lot of good history, not just match reviews. Obviously, they're still in there, but a lot of great history in terms of these great Lucha Libre matches and sort of, the build-ups via the history of the wrestling itself in these promotions as well. So I think it's a really great, really go check it out. I highly recommend it. Great audio. Only $5 to listen to all of it. You can also listen to all of it. You can get a 7-day week trial and listen to all of it. One day a week you got to put in. I did an hour on Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. That's how you know it's good audio. Anyway, so great stuff on the Patreon.
There's a Mystico in that match.
It was a Mystico in that match. And
no, I mean, the crowd chanted to Mystico.
Oh, definitely. 100%. But a really great match.
And then Booker T goes, when they take off Hunico's mask, oh, he's so ugly.
And there's a reality. I told you this already. That there's the reality that like Arn Anderson was pulling for Mystico to lose his mask. There's a reality where Mystico loses his mask and Booker T calls him ugly. That's the world. That's the world that Chris Jericho wants to live in. from the anniversary show. Anyways, that is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We will not be here next Sunday. We will be recording on Monday. I'm gone this weekend officially for a wedding.
That's news to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely not news for you. We discussed this last week, but you forgot about match of the week, so I wouldn't be shocked. But we will not be recording on Sunday. We're recording on Monday, probably Monday. We haven't really discussed, but probably Monday morning. I don't think we really formally discussed the time, but I'm going to guess Monday morning at the very least. Maybe like 10 a.m. or something.
Monday morning, rain is falling. Just doesn't sound the same.
No, it doesn't. So otherwise,
Monday
other
morning.
than that, be there, be square. We got a lot to talk about that episode. AEW Grand Slam, Destruction in Kobe, more things. Until then, we'll talk. Until then, we will talk to you all later. Goodbye, everybody.